In this video, I'm going to go over adding an extra layer of pads. These are the add-on set of pads that can be bought separately off our website. So you can see as I lay them out, there's one for each of the pads. Now that's not how we're going to put them in. Just wanted you to see what we've got. So let's start with the tailbone pad. You could, if you want, just add it to what you've got. Now if you're using the add-on layer, most likely you're going to want to include this layer that came with the original pads. So let's go ahead and put those out, because you're obviously looking for maximum protection. These are going to be super thick pads, but they will take a strong impact. Okay, so I'll back up just a minute. So here's the pads, the 3/4 inch pad that your Tortoise pads came with. You could just insert it there. Now we have a 1 inch thick pad. If you don't want it quite so beefy, take out the comfort layer, and then you're back to 3/4 inch, but it's a much stronger pad. It's going to be very firm, but it's still a lot stronger than the 3/4 inch that uses this. If you like the soft feeling and you don't mind wearing baggy clothes and you want a maximum pad, leave that in. Have 1 inch thick pads and you'll be very happy with that. So let me try and insert that. Now you could use the kitchen tongs. I'm going to do it by hand just to show you that it can be done. So this is a 1 inch thick pad, quadruple density. It's 5 layers thick, 4 different hardnesses of foam. So you can see I'm not getting very far before it just doesn't want to go in anymore. So I really have to work the fabric up along the sides. So I go to the tip of the pad, I start pulling the fabric up. Now that I've got some fabric bunched up, I can grab the pad at the tip and pull the fabric along the sides. Once I get that, I'll go back, hold the pad up higher, and start working the fabric up the sides again. So what I'm trying to do is get the tip of the pad all the way in the pocket. I could do this from this angle as well. I could kind of pull it along the sides and work it up, whatever is best. And you can see it didn't take that long. So you may have noticed I just did a little trick there. So this top layer didn't go in quite as far as the lower layers. So all I have to do, I'm going to pinch here at the end that's got the overhang. I'm going to bend it up. Now you can see the top layer has moved closer to the others. I pinch this side, straighten it out, and it shifts. So I can repeat that. I can shift the layer around pretty easily while it's in the pocket. You can use your little adhesive squares that come with the pads and glue your layers together, temporary glue. If you know you want this pad, you can use the hot glue method that I showed in one of the other videos. Okay, so you could repeat this with each of the pads. So I'm going to build up the glute pads. Inserting those would be the exact same routine as this. I do want to go over the leg pad again, because that one is a little different. So it's asymmetrical, and I'm going to lay my shorts. So I got the wide end here. Let's get rid of those. Let's see. So on this pocket I've got a wide end and a narrow end, so I can see that this is the wrong pad. Got the narrow end on this side and the wide end here. So I'll get the other one, and now I can see, yes, that's the correct pad. So So let's get our add-on layer in place. So I'm doing a 1-inch thick pad on everything here. So I put the fat end in first, insert it halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way, and I'm going to pull and stretch, moving my hand over to the narrow end. I'm going to stretch the fabric over the narrow tip. I'm getting my thumb inside there because this soft layer is wanting to fold over now. So by getting my hand in the pocket, I can work the fabric up and keep the layers from folding over onto themselves. I get that in part of the way. I'm going to go back to the fat end, get my hand up inside the pocket and get all the fabric down. So now the tip of the fat end is all the way in the pocket. And go down, and that side's in as far as it'll go. And I go back here, make sure I work it in as far as it'll go, and you can see this is perfectly normal that the bottom of this pad doesn't quite go in the pocket because you have to pull the flap over it to cover it all the way. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to reach in, grab the flap, pull it up, put my finger in the back, push the pad forward as I pull the flap across, and I go back, do that a couple times. Since it's such a thick pad, you're going to have to work it. Now I'm stretching the fabric. I've got my finger on the flap and smoothing the flap out. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to stretch the shorts, pulling it that way. And so now I've got that pad in, and it's nice and thick. Okay, so I'm going to do the 2 glutes. This way we can see what the whole thing looks like. I'm going to use the tongs, which it's almost too fat of a pad for the tongs, but let's see if that helps. So pull the fabric on both sides. I'm squeezing the tongs. And I come up to the tip, work the fabric back. And pull the tongs out, and it wasn't too bad. So I wanted to do the glutes before I did the hip pads because it's just a lot easier to get the glutes in when the hip pads aren't in. So let's see it with this thick of a pad if the tongs are really faster than just doing it by hand. It feels like it was faster. Yeah, so I can tell the soft layer has already flipped over. Okay, now I got to reach my hand in there and guide it in. So definitely, if you have the kitchen tongs, they're a nice tool, but you can do this without the kitchen tongs. Now, so I've got the tip layers all nice and flat. They're not folded over, so now I'm going to hold down here, kind of work the fabric up. Okay, now I can kind of shift the layers a little bit, and now I've got it in. I'm going to adjust that top layer a little. Okay, so the tongs are definitely faster. The hip pads should still be pretty easy. It's a big pocket here. Let's go back to this side. I can hold the pad and pull, kind of driving it at an angle, so they don't go straight down, they go in at an angle, so that when you wear them, you can see the hip pad angles back towards your rear a little bit. And when you use them, this will fold right like that. Okay, so anyhow, I've got another leg and a hip pad to put in, but you can see this is a real beefy pair of pads. Let's do these flaps. I'm going to go across the back and do these flaps. It's a little more work to get the flaps because the pads are so thick right now. And I'm just pulling them over first, and I'm going to go back and flatten the flaps. And it's just easier for me to do one task over and over. Okay, so almost done. Alright, I've got one more leg to do. See if I can do this quickly. The fat end in. Pull it over the skinny end. Notice the pad's folding in half, but that's not really a big deal. Once I get it in there, it'll flatten out. So I need to get the flap. Sometimes the flap gets hooked up on the very top of that pad. And just pull the flap over. Okay. Now we're down to our last hip pad. And fortunately, it goes in nice and easy relative to the others. And pull the flap up. And there we have it. So this is a 1-inch thick quadruple density, 5 layers, 4 different hardnesses of foam. You can see as you put them on, these pads will shape, and they'll actually hold their shape, especially as they warm up a little bit. And it's almost big enough to stand up on its own. So that's the Tortoise pad add-on pads that have been inserted into the shorts.